In no way this video means that I did not love the show. Like, the show was really special to me for days. I know that it's been a week, but it feels like for the last week I haven't been able to do anything because my mind is still in Ravka with the incredible cast and this crazy world they've just brought to reality. Whereas while reading a book, it was such a so-so experience to me. It wasn't special at all, and I wouldn't really have recommended the book to my older self if I could. And here is exactly why the ending in the series pissed me off. I mean, clearly, when two stories set in different time zones are going to merge as one, there are going to be so many changes to compare with what that actually happened in the books. That aside, I think some of these changes were made for good. Like what happened to Mal, like the character is explored so deeply and you kind of understand why he can be liked, why somebody could ship him with Alina. Whereas in the books, like until the third book, I was like, which of course I'm not blaming the author, it was her first book. God knows now that I'm drafting, I just, like while I'm drafting, I don't know shit. I don't know shit about the story construction, and all the times I am unconsciously aware of the things I should be aware of, I'm like,
I don't give a damn.
It's just all hard, and it's very understandable that after like, you know, about a decade, these professionals have done a greater job out of this story. But not with the ending. Okay, here's the deal. If you're not that fond of spoilers in any way, like I personally don't like people even saying how they felt during the read, like if it was a light read or if it was really dark. Like I don't want to hear any of that. Like if this is you and if you only just watched the series or read the books and you want to mess up with your emotions before you get to experience them firsthand, like you should have already clicked off. But if that's not the case, let's just talk about it. Let's just spill the beans. In the series, episode 8, they're on the ship. Darkling wants to show off to the ambassadors from the enemies. He has the power to literally destroy the world. And if they wish to avoid any kind of war, which now with the weapon he has in hand is going to have very different results, they should bow to his whim and forget about the old borders and only respect what he says as the law. That was the point of traveling through the fold, and it was the same in the books. But what happened in the series was they tried to kill him, so he chopped them off and was like, shoot, I have to perform this once more. Then literally all the Grisha that had traveled with him through the fold died, and he did too, kinda. But then afterwards, Alina was thinking like,
now that the Darkling is dead, like blah blah blah.
Then he reappeared from the fold. Like, it could have been exciting if the alternative ending in the book was not better. So here is what happened in the books. They traveled through the fold so that the Darkling could show the ambassadors who was in charge now. But then, because he had also threatened Alina that he was going to kill Mal anyway, Alina and Mal escaped. And you know, when they were about to do that, when Alina was on the verge of making the decision, like, you know, the dark had returned because she wanted to hide herself and Mal from him, Darkling said, you're not going to leave us here, Alina. Because if she did, it meant the death of tens of people. Grisha, the ambassadors, people who were unassuming, kind of innocent. And she did it anyway. Which is why I continued reading this trilogy at all. Because in this version, the book version, you have Darkling as a morally grey guy. He will not stop until he gets what he wants, but at the same time, what he wants is not necessarily selfish. He cares a lot about his subordinates, about the Grisha, about the people who have been helpless and being hunted down for centuries because he's been there literally and knows that, and he wants to protect them.
I was trying to save us.
He sees them as his people, and it's not until after he returns from the fall that everybody starts to fear him because he is kind of changed. So we have him, and it's similar to the show version, except that when he chops off the ambassadors and gives no shit about the Grisha that are going to be lost, it just takes that out of his personality, and it's not cool. And on the other hand, in the books, we have Alina, who, rightfully so, I'm not judging at all, I'm just stating that rightfully so, gave up on many lives because it meant saving the love of her life and herself, because otherwise she would be forever enslaved and her loved one would be killed. But still, it would come with huge consequences, bad consequences.
Chose to betray our people.
And that too would make her a morally gray character. Now we have two morally gray characters who also had this connection, this, I would say, beautiful chemistry between them. So it just makes the story more spicy. But in the show, like, we have this black and white perspective. And that, despite all the beauty of the show, just messed this experience up to a degree for me. My current rating for the show is like 8.5. I definitely would have rated it way more if they had just kept the ending. I did not do any kind of research on this personally, but a friend of mine said that she had read in an article that the showrunners changed the ending because it was too dark. That was the point. We have a character called Darkling. The story has to be dark. But anyway, that's just my opinion. Still, I think the series was just such a better experience, and mostly because of the intense chemistry between all the cast members. Like, I'm not just talking about Darklina, I'm talking about every single one of them. Like, mwah, they were awesome. They were not necessarily similar to what they had been described in the books. And for the first time in my life watching an adaptation, I did not mind. They were just so badass, and I just cannot wait until season 2 when they haven't even started making this. Like, why? Let us show so much support to this series that Netflix just renews and we can get more seasons, hopefully. But before you go, do tell me, what are the worst pet peeves in book to movie adaptations you see, and if you were satisfied with this adaptation and why? I'm Shahrzad, and thank you so much for watching this episode on Shahrzad's Stories channel. See ya!